a candy honoring silk workers, the surprising origin of French macarons, and a market name for a gastronomy legend. This week, we're in Lyon, France.
Traveling the world to bring you delicious dishes, tasty beverages, and interesting experiences. This is the Destination Eat Drink podcast on the Radio Misfits Podcast Network.
I'm Brent Peterson. Welcome to Destination Eat Drink. Destination Eat Drink is for foodies who love to travel and travelers who love to eat. And this week on the show, we're talking with Virginie Jandet from Tasty Lyon, a foodie tour company who takes hungry travelers around the gastronomy capital of France, Lyon. But first, be sure to subscribe to the podcast and share it with your friends and social media. It really helps get the word out. And if you're thinking of a trip to Portugal or Spain in 2025, check out my new ebooks. I have foodie travel guides to 24 cities in Portugal and Spain, outlining not only the best things to do, but also all the things to eat and drink in places like Lisbon, Porto, Seville, and San Sebastian. Each city foodie guide is $2.99 to $5.99, and if you're coming to Portugal, I have a full Portugal foodie guide for 17 cities at just $9.99. Get your ebook at buymeacoffee.com/destinationeatdrink/extras, and thank you very, very much. Virginie Jandet from Tasty Lyon is an expert on the food of the city that's called the gastronomy capital of France. She shares with me why Lyon is such an important foodie city, and Virginie tells me about the markets of Lyon, a red-colored praline, local cheese, and the characteristic rustic restaurants called Bouchon. Okay, I'm starving, so let's eat.
Destination Eat Drink.
I don't know, Virginie, that I've ever been to a city where food is such an important central part of the culture. Why do you think Lyon is the gastronomy capital of France?
For a lot of reasons, but I think the main reason is the history of that gastronomy. Because in Lyon, we were used to welcome a lot of people during the course of the centuries. We welcome a lot of from Europe, thanks to the fairs during the Renaissance period, and thanks also to the silk industry, very developed and flourishing in the city. We welcome a lot of people from everywhere. And it was a very good thing because all these people, like tourists today, need to eat and were very interested in discovering the gastronomy, the local gastronomy. So little by little, we built a very good culture around our local products. And one other reason is also because we are in a very lucky place in France. Lyon, it's a city, a large city today, but we have all around us a lot of places dedicated to one special culture or where we can breed a special animal. And that means that today we have the possibility to find everything. Fish, meat, wine, of course, a lot of vegetables. And thanks to all these local products, we can cook everything, in fact. Paul Bocuse was used to say that thanks to good products, we have good chefs.
Yes, so important to have that, to have those items that you can count on to be of a high quality on a regular basis. I didn't realize before I visited Lyon how important the silk industry was. And my understanding, you'll correct me if I'm wrong, my understanding was that a lot of that came from Italian migration, especially from Florence. I'm curious, is there any remnants of that Italian influence in the gastronomy or the culture of Lyon?
Yes, a little bit, but not only Italian food and Italian cultures. In fact, when we speak about silk, of course, we speak about Italian people. When we speak about fairs, that means also bankers. So we speak also about Italian people. So yes, we have an Italian influence, but it was more an influence for silk. They introduced the local workers to their know-how, but for the gastronomy, a little bit less. Except one thing, today in France, we are famous in Lyon, but also in Paris and in other places for the French macarons. French people love macarons, but also people who visit the France and Lyon. And in fact, we are not really sure that the macarons are French. The macarons you can find in France today with two small cakes and in the middle chocolate, jam or something. Okay, it's really the French macaron. But you have to know that in Italy, they have very good macarons. Just a small cake with almond powder. And I think this is really one example of one product that influenced the local gastronomy, the French gastronomy. But in fact, we never want to keep something from another country in France. We want to readapt and to put the French name on that. So I think it's exactly what happened with, for example, the macaron.
The covered market is named the Paul Bocuse Covered Market in Lyon. And you guys at Tasty Lyon, you do tours of that market. Talk to me, describe this market to me a little bit.
Oh, yes, we do a lot of tours in the covered market. This covered market, covered markets are something very usual in France. Each large city has its own covered market. We are more used to imagine a metallic structure with glasses like we can find at the end of the 19th century. In Lyon, we had this structure, but it was a little bit old-fashioned and no more adapted to hygienism rules and to the modern gastronomy. So in the 1970s, the municipality of Lyon decided to move, in fact, the place of the market to rebuild a new one. Instead of to restore the historic one, they decided to rebuild a very new building. It's exactly the same we still have today. Restored several times. They increased the size because the fame of the market was more and more important. We still have the same built in the 70s. When we built the first market, it was to welcome different merchants, like in all the covered markets. But little by little, we built some small shops in the market itself. So don't imagine a classic market with tables and fruits and vegetables in the middle of the market. Nothing to see with that. In the covered market, the Paul Bocuse covered market in Lyon, we have, in fact, a kind of shopping center for food with really small restaurants in the middle, with merchants, with small shops. They can close it as a shop in the shopping center. That allows to have very exceptional products, and that allows also to keep each product on the place every day. You don't need to remove everything every day, like in an open air market, for example, with fruits and vegetables. So it's very different. It's really a shopping center dedicated to the best quality of food we can find in Lyon.
I find this fascinating because, like you said, when I think of a market, I think of produce, produce stalls, and this is a different idea. But I love this idea because when I go to a new city, I always look for these kinds of gastronomy places, these cool food shops, because when I come home, I bring food with me. I don't bring clothes, I don't bring any other kinds of souvenirs. I pack mine with food. We were just in the Azores and I brought cheese home with me, vacuum packed to make it legal. But, I brought cheese home with me. These are the kinds of things that I look for. And the Paul Bocuse Covered Market would be the place to do that. There are other produce. There are other vegetable markets. Lyon's a huge city. So there are every neighborhood has their own market. Tell me what some of your favorites are, and then I'll tell you, Virginie, my favorite market for produce in Lyon.
If we speak about open air markets, we have two places really that belong to the highlights of the markets. The large, very long covered open air market on the Quai Saint-Antoine, really in the city center, along the Saône River, in the middle of the historic and touristic district. Open every morning, but a little bit more special during the Saturday and Sunday. And so this one is very famous because in the middle of the city center, you can't miss it when you are in Lyon during the weekend. But my favorite, because I lived in that district during several years, is the Marché of Croix-Rousse, the Croix-Rousse market. You have a very large one with clothes, shoes, and food on Tuesday. But my favorite is on Sunday morning, because you have also all the atmosphere of the market. You can find musicians in the streets. You can drink a glass of white wine in a terrace, waiting for your friends. You can discover the fruits, the fresh fruits, vegetables, food. You can buy your chicken for the Sunday lunch. You can also find flowers. So it's really a family place, and really the best example we can find of a French beautiful open air market.
That sounds wonderful. My favorite market is one that I stumbled upon when we were going to the film museum, and in the mansions where I forget what the brothers' names, Luminaire? The Luminaire brothers.
Lumière
mm-hmm. brothers. The bio market at Place Ambrose Courtois.
Yes.
Because it's a bio market. And I also had a very similar experience in that the kids, it was after school. So the parents were bringing the kids to do the shopping. And I don't know, I feel like in the States when the parents bring the kids to a market, the kids are like, oh, Mom, really? Do I have to go? These kids were engaged, involved. They were smelling the basil to make sure that it was the proper freshness, and they were tasting the cider. It was a wonderful experience, and the food was all bio. It's a great place, and I really love that market.
But I go to the market with my kids, and they choose themselves which kind of fruits or vegetable or what they want to eat this week. When we see, in fact, we decide more or less the menu of the week in front of the market, depending which kind of products we can find.
I would really like to talk about a few of the unique things in Lyon as far as food goes. And I want to start with sweets. We talked about healthy food, but now let's talk about sugary foods. And one of the interesting things of Lyon is the praline brioche. Can you talk about this wonderful treat?
When the people arrived in France, especially from other countries, they are looking for the so famous French croissant. Okay. We love the croissant in Lyon, but for us, it's more considered as a Parisian thing. In Lyon, we have our own sweet thing for breakfast or for snacks. It's the brioche with the praline, the red praline, pink praline. The praline, be careful, because in Europe, we use the same word for different things. In the north of Europe, praline, it's a chocolate. For us, nothing to see with that. No chocolate. It's an almond covered with red sugar. So nothing to see with chocolate and nothing to see with fruits. Sometimes we can imagine that we have a red fruit in this small sweet. Nothing. Just almond and sugar, colored red sugar. So it's for us a very famous local specialty, used in a lot of different recipes. That should be the brioche, that should be a pie. We are also used to put it in macarons, in cookies, in madeleines, in cakes. You can use it everywhere. It's just almond and sugar. So you can add in different recipes. But for us, that allows to have red color in a lot of recipes. It's more funny and very, very tasty.
Some people love going to France for the museums and the artwork. I love going to France for the patisseries and looking through the window and like, wow, that looks so good. Let's get 5 of those. One of the other things about Lyon is the cuisine. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yes.
I was never sure about how to pronounce it. The Cousin de Lyon. Talk about that, because now we're getting into chocolatey stuff.
It's a coussin, but it's difficult for people. Coussin.
Okay. I'm going to leave it up to you, Virginie.
It's always difficult for people who are not French. So the coussin, sometimes we can translate it as a cushion, because in fact it's that looks like a silk cushion. This very special chocolate, it's really Lyonnaise chocolate. You can't find the same one all around the city. It's very something linked with the history of the city. If you've ever been in Lyon, maybe you visited the very famous basilica we have on the top of the hill, the Fourvière Basilica, built at the end of the 19th century to thanks the Virgin Mary for the protection on the city, etc., etc. It's a very long story in Lyon, the protection of the Virgin Mary on the city. And we consider today that the city is still protected by the Virgin. And we offer, each time we ask the Virgin to protect the city for a very special event, we are used to offer her something to thank her. And we had in the 16th century, we offer a golden coin put on a green silk cushion. Exactly like for a wedding, we offered the coin on the cushion. The cushion still exists today, the real silk cushion. And in the 1960s, one chocolate maker in Lyon wanted to create a local souvenir, something linked with the history of the city in chocolate. And finally, it shows this cushion, this coussin, and he recreates, thanks to chocolate and marzipan, because thanks to marzipan you can have the color, the shape, etc. And he recreates this real cushion linked with the history of the Virgin Mary. And today, if you buy a box of coussin to offer or for you, you have the box is exactly the shape of the silk cushion. And you have inside all the history of this very special chocolate linked with the history of the Basilica in Lyon. And today we are also used, the municipality is used to offer this kind of cushions it's a kind of diplomatic gift when we receive a special people in France or when we receive a special people in Lyon. Politic man or a very important star, depend. We are used to offer each time a cushion. It's really the Lyonnaise souvenir you can find in Lyon.
Another idea to bring something back with you home, bring a cushion with you. I never considered that those little green treats would be linked to the silk trade. But now that you say it, it makes total sense. They do look like little silk cushions. I knew the cushion thing, but I never thought of the silk aspect of it. And that is fascinating. If you were to go into a patisserie and you were looking for something to snack on, what would your favorite thing be besides the praline, besides the coussin?
Oh, difficult. The coussin, it's not really for us considered as a pastry, more as a candy, more or less. The praline, yes, it's really the praline, the real brioche with praline. We eat one at least one time a week, minimum one time a week. If not, we have a lot of different recipes. Not in a pastry, but as a dessert in a restaurant, I love to eat the île flottante. You know what is it?
No.
It's an egg, a white egg on crème anglaise, the yellow cream.
Okay, wow.
So you can imagine the crème anglaise. It's a yellow cream. On the top, you have the white of the egg. and more or less as a meringue. And when you are in Lyon, it's a French dessert. But when you are in Lyon, sometimes we love to add one small piece of praline in this recipe. That means you have, in fact, the white of the egg with small red pieces, or just if you had one praline in your cream, instead of to have the regular crème anglaise with the yellow vanilla color, you had the praline and you have a red cream, a pink red cream. So that allows to play with colors. And when you have guests at home, for example, you are the king of the pastry.
It sounds very elegant. That was the word that I was thinking as you were describing this, elegant. And you would be the king if you were, or the queen if you were to enjoy this, I think.
It's easy, just clever tips, but easy to have a very beautiful thing for your dessert.
Yes. Great topping to a great meal. I did want to ask you about the Bouchon, because this is a thing that is, I mean, all these things are unique to Lyon, and this is why it has such a rich gastronomy history and gastronomy culture even today. But the Bouchon seems uniquely Lyonnese. And I had never been to one, although you're starting to see them pop up in other places. I think there's a couple in New York, and you'll see other Bouchons other places besides Lyon. But it started in Lyon. It is distinctly Lyonnaise. Tell me about the Bouchon.
Yes, if you are in Lyon, if you want to eat in a restaurant, please don't choose a classic restaurant for the first time. Just at least one time in your stay, go in a local, authentic Bouchon Lyonnais. It's a very important signification, authentic Bouchon Lyonnais. That means you will be in a restaurant, of course, with a table, seats, etc. But a very different one. These small restaurants, because they are not a very, very large place where you can have a lot of people. They are just small restaurants that looks like a little bit as the Italian trattoria, maybe an Italian influence, another one in the Lyonnaise gastronomy. And we have this very authentic decoration, simple but very efficient, with good food and authentic recipes, old recipes. That means we still cook in this restaurant the same thing the so famous Lyonnaise mothers were used to cook for workers. These restaurants were not dedicated as for elegant people or for Saturday night when you want to eat somewhere with your friends, but very dedicated, only dedicated for workers. The silk workers. We still speak about silk when we speak about gastronomy. And silk workers were not used to eat really a lot at home. They work in their own apartments. So they were used to go in these small restaurants dedicated quite only for them and for workers, where they can eat what we named the machon, a mix of charcuterie, a lot of pork specialties, very simple dishes, but good for workers. Easy, you can eat that all year long. Easy for all the family, kids, adults, everybody. And it's really the authentic cuisine as you can cook at home, you for your family. Very different, totally the opposite of another level of gastronomy we also have in Lyon, the 3-star restaurant, the Michelin-starred restaurant as the Paul Bocuse one, for example. So we have both, but the Bouchon Lyonnais are really where we eat us easily in our daily life. We are less used to go in the Paul Bocuse restaurant 2 times a week.
Yeah, right, of course. Your wallet couldn't afford it, right? Mine can't. And this is where the Bouchon was where I learned very quickly in Lyon that this is a tip for anyone who goes, is to make reservations, because I thought, okay, this is a more casual type atmosphere. I can just walk in. And we walked into a place, and I'll tell you the name of it because it was a wonderful meal. I think it's pronounced Poelon d'Or, Poelon, and then d'Or. And it's a Bouchon in Lyon. And we walked in and I thought, okay, we're going to just get a table. And they were like, do you have a reservation? No, we don't have any space. I said, oh, please, can we come in? And he said, okay, but you only have 90 minutes. And in the United States, 90 minutes is an eternity for dinner, But he was like, nope, only 90 minutes because I have another reservation coming in at 9:00 or whatever it was. So I promised him, I said, okay, we will. I promise we'll be in and out. And after 80 minutes, I was paying the check and I looked at him and I pointed at the clock and I nodded and he said, yes, thank you very much. But it was also a memorable meal. The food was so good and it was on, wooden tables and the whole thing. It was a very Lyonese Bouchon experience. And, all these years later, I still remember it.
Yes, I think if you want to discover the local gastronomy in Lyon, the market, of course, you will see. You can test if you are combined with a guided tour or something. But if you want really to test the local gastronomy as a Lyonese people, you have to go at least one time in the Bouchon. Not every day, but at least one time.
Yes, highly recommended. We can't talk about any place in France without talking about cheese. Is there a local cheese that we should be sure and sample that's from the region?
Yes, a lot. When not produced really in the city center, of course, but all around the city of Lyon, we have a lot of hills and reliefs. It's not flat. So we have a lot of goats. So we can find easily goat cheese. It's for us the local farm cheese, not very expensive, not very elegant, just the local cheese. But very good and really what we eat a lot at home in the daily life. And we have two Lyonnaise specialties. The Saint-Marcellin, of course. It's one cheese produced in the eastern part of Lyon. Very famous, especially when you buy it in the Mère Richard, one very famous cheese seller in Lyon. Where Paul Bocuse was used, for example, to buy the cheese for his restaurant. And it's a local cheese, very special when it's well-aged, because it's a classic farm cheese, very creamy. And if it's well-aged, you can eat that not with a cut, but really with the spoon or on bread. It's so good. And we have also another specialty. Another time I will speak of about the silk workers, the canut. It's the cervelle de canut, the brain of the canut. Okay, I can understand it will be a little bit strange, but don't worry, the brain is just cheese.
It's not a real
cheese.
Brain.
No, it's not a real brain. It's very easy to eat. It's just creamy, fresh cheese with herbs, shallots, salt, pepper. We can have different recipes. Each Lyonnais has his own recipe. But we love to pair it or for the aperitif with dips, for example, or with the famous saucisson lyonnais, the cooked sausage. It's more or less the sauce you can add with this cooked sausage and boiled potatoes. So it's really the Lyonnaise traditional fresh cheese.
Before I let you go, Virginie, tell me a little bit about wine, because this is you're close to probably the most famous winemaking region in all of France, if not all of the world. But what kind of wines do local Lyonnais like to drink when they sit down for lunch or dinner?
Depend of your lunch, of your dinner. Depend of the day of the
and what you're eating and how you're feeling.
If today, for example, for my lunch, I have a simple lunch in my daily life. During the week, I will drink a Beaujolais, of course, a Beaujolais wine, especially with local Lyonnaise gastronomy. It's well paired with that. It's an easy wine. You can drink it every day without problem. If I want to have an aperitif with my guest, I will drink more white wine from the south of Burgundy, the Mâconnais, Pouilly-Fuissé, for example. It's more elegant wine, not so sweet, but not so dry white wine, perfect for an aperitif, for example. If we are on Sunday lunch, I will prefer, for example, if I cook a very special meat, I will prefer a Rhone Valley wine, always good, always the same range of quality. So no surprise, no good, no bad surprise with the Rhone Valley red wine. And if it's Christmas, Easter, the wedding of my colleague or something like that, of course, a Burgundy wine. More expensive, more and more expensive today, but exceptional wines. Pommard, Meursault, Alox Corton, very exceptional wines. So depend on the day.
Very good. Well, Virginie Jandet from Tasty Lyon,
Yes.
Thank you so much for being on Destination Eat Drink. It's been great talking to you. It's been great renewing my memories of Lyon, and we're going to tell people to all take your food tour at Tasty Lyon because you have lots of different tours. It's just exceptional quality because you guys are going to all of the best places and taking folks to learn stuff that they didn't know. Me, as someone who's even been to Lyon, you're teaching me all kinds of stuff that I didn't know about Lyon. So thanks again for being on the show today. It's been great talking to you, and best of luck with Tasty Lyon.
Thank you to welcome me.
Okay, that's Virginie Jandet from Tasty Lyon. And you can book a food tour at tastylyon.com. I've also got a link to Virginie in the show notes. And if you want to hear some more from Virginie, including why school lunches are so good in France and the legacy of Paul Bocuse, you can get that by becoming a paid subscriber on my Substack. It's just $5 a month, and you can find that at destinationeatdrink.substack.com. I've got tons of extra stuff there that you can only get on the Substack. Well, that's it for this week. Next week, it's the Destination Eat Drink Christmas special. It's a brand new episode with Christmas celebrations in France, in Rome, in Germany, even in Manila, Philippines. Don't miss that. Until then, I've got tons of new stuff at destinationeatdrink.com. I just posted a new video. This one's about São Miguel Island in the Azores. We take a road trip and try some pineapple and tea grown on the island. Plus, we sneak into an abandoned hotel with the most amazing views. You can see that by clicking on the video tab at Destination Eat Drink or by going to my YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/@DestinationEatDrink946. There's also a new foodie travel guide out. It's to Aveiro, a city with canals, so it's called the Venice of Portugal. In addition to the cool boat rides you can take on those canals, there's also some great food. You can get the Aveiro Foodie Travel Guide ebook at buymeacoffee.com/destinationeatdrink/extras. Destination Eat Drink is distributed by the Radio Misfits Podcast Network and Ed Silla. Thanks, Ed. I'm Brent Peterson, and I'll see you down the road.
Join us next week for another culinary adventure on Destination Eat Drink, a presentation of the Radio Misfits Podcast Network.